The Jim and Terry Show, coming to you from the Hobbit Hole in Bobcaygeon. I'm one of your hosts, Terry.
And I'm Jim, Midnight Jim.
Jim's trying to do a sexy FM late night broadcast voice, and I'm not.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's the voice I call Helium Jim.
Hi, everybody. I am Jim.
I am going to start off with, how about those Leafs?
I missed it all because I was out till 1:30 last night
I was
partying
going to rely on you to
with a
supply
bunch of Persians.
Well, now that's an interesting tale. Why don't you start right there?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Dinner with Persians.
Well, we have a connection with the Persian church down in Richmond Hill. We up in Pefferlaw. A long story short, they came in, just felt a good vibe, and so they came in to talk to the pastor, and scared the bejeebies out of the Bible study going on. The women, they're Persian looking and they're white women. I don't know what it was, but anyways, he said, Pastor, and so he set up a meeting. And he came over, and I was there, and I met him, and that started. Now we'll be pushing 90 baptisms for that church at Pefferlaw. So it's a wonderful group of people. So twice now they've invited my pastor down to speak. They meet on Wednesdays because they don't have their own church.
Right.
So they could only get a Wednesday time period.
For the facility, the building.
For the
that they're in.
facility. So we went down there, and our pastor again did a wonderful job in teaching them. They seemed to be so receptive, just with an interpreter, but so receptive.
So is the language of your Persian community Farsi? Is that the language? Do you know?
I have no idea. I thought you were being a smart jerk.
No.
I'm just going to say, come on, buddy. It's not a farce at all.
Farsi, F-A-R-S-I, is
Yeah.
a language, and I think it is spoken in Iran, but
I think it's Iranian. Yeah.
Okay.
So it might be that language.
Well, this is a story of a relationship being built between a fellow who is some kind of professional, but who is a pastor of a growing community in another community in Richmond Hill. But he lives near you in
He
Pefferlaw.
actually lives in Douglas Point.
Right, so he drives by and your
Well,
road.
how he discovered our church. He had never been over the Pefferlaw side of anything because I
It's
guess
the other side of the tracks,
it
Jim.
is the other side of the tracks.
That's where the
But he
booze
got a
hounds
notice
are.
that there was a parcel at the post office for him.
So he had to come into the Pefferlaw
So
post
him and
office.
his wife were going in to get the parcel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was the wife that said, I just get such a good feeling about that building. So he went in, just boldly went in. And as I said, the women were in a Bible study, and here comes this Arab-looking guy downstairs, right? And scared them a little bit. But he just said, looking for the pastor, and they gave all the information needed. He came back, and I was there in that meeting, determined what a godly man. And yes, the people understood baptism and their faith. And don't forget, they're fleeing persecution.
Yes, we talked a little bit about that during breakfast, about the Shah of Iran and how it was pro-Western, and you wouldn't recognize the Iran today under the Ayatollah and the repression that from the 1970s version of Iran, which was a progressive, modern civilization, if I can extrapolate. And then all of a sudden, we're into the morality police, the beatings, the women can't go to school, and a very repressive regime. So they fled those circumstances.
Yeah, and there's people they don't just live in Richmond Hill. Some of them travel quite a ways to attend a Christian church. It's quite a wonderful thing. That's what you see a lot from people who were persecuted or still have family persecuted. Their devotion is far above just your average everyday white middle-aged guy or elderly guy.
There's a cultural devotion too. I don't want to speak of the ghettoization, but people from the same culture will come great distances to join together because they still have that cultural homeland, that tug at whatever it is. In this case, it's Iran.
Yeah, and I'm sure they have some conflict a bit too because they're Christian now, and that's just so different. And long story short, and by the way, I'll be away, but they're baptizing another 24 people in our church. That's going to
while you're away on holidays.
But I'm on, so that's going to put up.
Imagine they didn't consider you and your absence.
Well, they did because last night they invited the group of us that were with Pastor out to a Persian dinner You ain't seen anything like that. I got after the show. I'll show you a picture if it came out. It's gonna blow your mind.
The amount of food or the location and the decor?
The amount of food, the decor is out of this world. I mean, I got to take Christina there just to have a romantic meal. And oh man, their out porch, which I could
Their
see,
patio?
They have a patio and it's open now if you want it. And at this, of course, it's 12 midnight. Nobody's out there. But the tables are lit, and they have stars, twinkles down, beautiful, classy, everything. They have literally in there probably a, well, I'm guessing a 20-foot by 8-foot TV screen. Yeah.
My.
Yeah,
goodness.
on a stage, and they're showing these beautiful pictures. And I meant to ask, is that Persia? You know, are you showing us
Is that
Persia?
Iran?
Or Iran, yeah, Persia.
You're talking
Yeah.
biblical terms.
It was just beautiful, just beautiful. And so they treated us. I say all that to say I'm tired as stinking. I didn't
You
get
were
home
out
till
till
1:30.
The wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, have party
And
with the Persian.
and it wasn't drinking, it was eating.
Eating.
And what kind of meats you ordered? Your table ordered a meat tray or meat platter.
Well, there was 4 platters served. We ordered one because it was funny. The pastor's mom and dad just were getting frustrated at the hour. Number one, it was past 9 o'clock. What are we doing eating at this time? You know, I love them. They're just great people.
Very
And so
traditional, though.
There was a Persian waiter going, there are six entries we served, and we couldn't understand him.
Yeah.
And he was speaking perfect English, but old people have problems. So he said the first tray is la 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 blah 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 blah. Second tray is meat. We'll take it. No, that was the 5th tray, but there was a variety of trays coming down the pike.
Were the trays sliding down, so it was like a buffet kind of thing, but you were seated and you just
No,
the food passed in front of
in-
you and you helped yourself?
In 4s, and Terry can see me now. Our tray was probably, I don't know, 3 feet by almost 2 feet wide.
So enough for you. And what about the rest?
That's what I said. So what's everybody else getting? That's what I
Yeah,
said when they came. They literally have to clear things away, and 2 people have to bring each of the trays out.
Okay, may I ask what types of meat were on the meat
It
platter?
reminded me very much of an Argentinian barbecue. There was several meats. There was obviously lamb chops. They were delicious. I don't usually go for lamb. We had a special edition of chicken because this was supposed to be just meat. And then they had roasted tomatoes, and they had the strangest tasting oranges. Strange tasting oranges. Then they had, looked like riblets. They had another, looked like it was a hamburger-based meat. They had this flat out meat that almost looked like liver. They had it, and then they had,
Cow tongue, maybe.
might have been cow tongue, something like that. It was delicious. We all took home.
You sampled everything.
Yeah, I sampled everything I could get my chops on, and I'll show you a picture. That was just our tray, and there was other trays, and they brought the trays out to all. That's how they served the food. And some of them, like, they don't just bring out a tray. There'd be a tree with peppers hanging on it, like, pickled peppers, that kind of thing. So the
Served
trays,
with your tray.
the tray is huge, but it's got levels to them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and a great, big, gigantic, more than you could ever eat in your life, bowl of rice, right in the middle of it.
Wow.
And then they have dry ice and different things, so there's a smoky and you can hear
really?
it sizzling as it's coming to the table.
Do they cook anything in front of you? Is
No.
it one of those kinds
No.
of presentations?
No.
So it's done in the kitchen and then
Yeah.
brought out.
Yeah, it was a generous, wonderful thing they did for us. They didn't have to do it, but it was a thank you to the church, and they love Pastor Grant's teaching. And Pastor Grant is about as comfortable as you can get speaking to them through a translator. He's
Well, then
just
it
comfortable.
seems that he's found a little, I don't want to say a side hustle, but in business terms, that's what you'd call it. So he's got his main feature, which is the Pefferlaw Church. But then he's got this, which is relationship built.
Well, this is what he does, and what I love about the man. he won't let anybody go by without hearing the gospel. If you know, he'll somehow.
So he's a natural-born evangelist.
He's an evangelist, and that's what I know, even if anybody has been critical of him, they say, well, he's not a pastor as much as he's evangelist. Well, we got the best of both worlds here, in my opinion, and he does go out, but he won't go to everybody that's just going to decorate our church. He'll go to the homeless. He'll go to anything, and he'll take them under his wing and bring them in. He's got 2 people living in his house. I don't even know who these people are.
My goodness.
Yeah, they're genuinely, and his parents are the same. They're genuinely giving Christian people.
Now, is there anything to the culture that your pastor represents? He's from Dutch culture,
I think
if I'm
Dutch
not
culture, yeah.
Yeah, so is there anything there that's partly to explain his natural inclination to be hospitable?
Well, probably, but it's funny because I think of his mom and dad. I just love them dearly. They're wonderful people, but the mother's just dead on. Like she makes me laugh. Like, what kind of plates are these? You know, these aren't the right.
There's no filter.
You shouldn't have plates like this. You know, and I like how I do lamb. You know, that kind of thing. No filter.
No
and
filter.
I just love it.
Yeah.
And so we do. That's the kind of hard. But her and her husband, they spend their days going and getting food for the food bank and all kinds of picking up people, bringing people someplace. They bring a van load of people to church every Sunday.
Wow.
They go out of their way to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, and without no begging, no asking, just matter of fact.
So this is quite a community that your church has.
Yeah, it
And
is a loving example of what I think, you know.
And it's an outreach.
It's an outreach, and we like to, I mean, my friend Gord, our friend Gord, used to say we're like a hospital, and he's right.
Yes.
We have people come, they need healing, they need marital counseling, whatever they need, they get it. Once they get it, they're happy, and then they leave.
The church is for the broken, is it
Yeah.
not? The wounded?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's what our calling is. We're like a hospital. And we have people there now that are troubled, have certain conditions in their lives.
Well, addiction and mental health don't
Yep.
know any limits.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's a human
situations
condition.
in their lives and stuff like that. And I tend to think that we're more of a, for instance, if I think someone might have a drinking problem or something, I will say to them, man, this would go great with a good drink of rye. You know what I mean, or something. Because I don't want anybody to think
that you don't imbibe.
that. Well, then, I want people to know that Christianity isn't all the limits everybody
It's
thinks
for
it
the
is.
sinners.
Christians are sinners. And we're the ones that go, I can't make it on my own, man. I just can't do that. Thank God he paid the price. And I like that. So
The gospel
We are
according
to
to
do.
Jim.
Yeah,
From,
sorry, I
from
did.
Power for Law.
I said all that to say I'm cranky because
And
I
that
read.
began with an opening question, how about those Leafs? And ended up with...
Oh, how'd that happen? Yeah. Oh, I missed the game. Yeah, and then you, but it was you who said expand.
Well,
Why did
I
you
always,
miss the game?
I always go with start where you are. And you're sleep deprived coming from a Persian feast.
Yeah.
You heard it on the Jim and Terry Show. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.